You're tuned live to the show they call the Cinema 9 Podcast. My name is Michael Govier. That's Travis Roy, and that's Eric Branstrom. You can see us on our YouTube channel, which has absolutely exploded over the last month. We've doubled our subs, almost tripled them. Eric Branstrom, how have you done it? You've really put in some work here. You've taken our YouTube channel over 100 so we can have our own authentic URL, which is now youtube.com/Cinema9Podcast.
Hey-o.
It's all about engagement. You got to support the rest of the, podcasting, movie analysis community, and in turn, they will support you back. So it's been great.
Well done, man. We've definitely just kind of put stuff on YouTube without going out and being, proactive and getting involved in the community there. You can get. We've been more engaged on Instagram, but I'm glad that you're doing a lot of social media duty. So well done on you.
The YouTube, I don't know how you just described that. I'm going to listen back to the show because I love the way you describe the community. The YouTube movie-going public.
I don't know. I don't listen to what I say either. That's why I started a podcast.
No one does. Exactly. Yeah, right?
Where am I?
Well, either way, we welcome all of our newcomers. Thank you, newcomers, for joining us. And you guys can continue to subscribe on YouTube, Cinema 9 Pod, Cinema9Pod@protonmail.com. We're going to do Predestination today. Does it hold up or not? 2014 film starring Ethan Hawke. Fascinating choice, and I'm looking forward to discussing this movie in great detail. I really am. But first, of course, we got to say hello. Travis, welcome back. We missed you last week. How are you?
It's good to be back. I'm not going to answer how I'm doing. I want to stay upbeat, and this is a podcast. But suffice to say,
poor phrasing on my part. Hey, good to see you.
That's okay. I mean, I don't want to shame you for a simple, normal question. But not to bum everybody out. But dogs are, they're not pets. They're it was the best. Rooney was my best friend and family member. So it's been a really rough time, but it's good to be back, and I'm glad to be back in the saddle with Cinema 9 and resuming life, I guess.
Yeah, not for nothing, but having the three of us together doing the show is always best. I've actually felt a little bit frazzled because the last couple of weeks, we had a guest, and then there was another time where I had the COVID shot recently. So I'd like to get us a nice groove going here over the next month where all three of us are here because that's where it's at.
It's been uncharacteristically rocky for us in terms of the three of us getting together on a regular basis for the last maybe 2 months or so, which is not the norm for us at all.
I agree. I absolutely agree. We're a very consistent show for the most part, Thursday evenings. Aaron Worley's watching us. Thank you. Yeah, you're doing the Robert De Niro thing. Watching me. I still want to go see Licorice Pizza at the theater. And
every week, Mike. Every week.
I can't get anyone to go.
Let us know when you've seen it, please.
Yeah, we'll just assume that you want to see it until you've actually seen it, and then you can tell us that you've seen it.
Okay, yep.
I very much want to see it. Deary talked about it with me. He sounded like maybe he was interested. I don't know. I might have a partner. We'll see, but I still have not seen that damn movie. So let's knock out the email first here. We'll start with the email, and then we'll get into quarantine viewing picks. It just so happens we got an email from the guy who's watching us, Mr. Aaron Worley, who is a Chudpud, yes. He did a show with us.
Former guest.
And
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Yeah, former. Matt Wilson says, glad you're back, Travis.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Good to see you, Matt. Haven't seen you in a minute. Matt, we miss your comments. You always bring something to the show, so we appreciate that. And, Aaron did the Brotherhood of the Wolf episode, which was a doozy. I'm sure we all agree about that. Here's what he had to say. Would have liked to comment live on this, but I'm working. I watched Predestination. Oh, wait. If he's going to talk about Predestination, I might have to table this. Hang on. Let me proofread. Stand by.
There's no vetting of this email.
Yeah, we're going to have to table this because this is for, we don't spoil the movie before we talk about it, right?
Yeah, we'll spoil it plenty later, but we'll save that for now.
Oh, yeah.
We'll return that email later.
Yes, this is a good email, but we'll save it for when we're talking about the show. The movie that we're doing. You can always email us at cinema9pod@protonmail.com. Thank you very much. Okay, so there it is. Movies is what we do here, and we're coming up on our 100th episode, too. We're going to get there. Wow. How's the timing look? Has anyone looked at the calendar about who's going to be? Are we going to do a group selection for 100? What do you guys think?
I mean, well, let's see. We're doing Predestination right now. It's a 2014 film that is the most recent film that we've done other than when we made the exception for our anniversary episode, which was First Reformed, also
That's right.
starring Ethan Hawke. So
Yep.
maybe let's find another Ethan Hawke movie. And then, I don't know.
Four
Paul
Timers
Schrader?
Club. That's the first.
I don't know. I guess we'll workshop that, or maybe we'll just whoever, in a just a natural fashion that we love doing the show, but we just try to provide what we do without too much fanfare. Maybe we'll just stick with who's ever next up in the rotation. I don't know, but I think 100's a milestone. We should also be excited about it.
Yeah, and if you as a listener have an idea, you think there's a specific movie we should maybe do that we've talked about a bunch, Freddy Got Fingered, then you can just drop us an email or send us any sort of message on direct message and give us your suggestion. Maybe we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like the 100th episode will air on March 10th.
Yeah,
that will be
right. Mid-March.
So that is the date. I don't know. You'll have to count out who would be on the rotation at that point, but it doesn't matter. Any ideas would be welcome. That's a good call, Trav. So if you guys have ideas, you're impressive people. So hook us up with the info. Give us your thoughts. All right, let's hear about it, guys. I want to know what Travis has been watching, since you probably have a lot of movies to share with us. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I got a couple weeks worth of movies. Kind of before my life, when my life was normal, and then like after last Wednesday when everything went to shit. I watched Hotel Transylvania 4 Transformania because I'm trying to watch all of the Sandler flicks. It turns out he didn't even voice the vampire in this fucking movie. I realized halfway through, and I'm not even sure that I watched the third one. I'm not gonna suggest that you run to your television to watch Hotel Transylvania 4 Transformania. It's a movie. I did watch. I kind of checked out on classic 80s horror that I was catching up on for a little bit, and so I checked in on that and caught 976 Evil from 1988, directed by Robert Englund and starring I believe his name's Stephen Frears, right? And that's his name. What's his name? No, not Frears. Who am I thinking? The dude that
Stephen
played
Fry?
He played Evil.
English dude?
I messed up. But he played Evil in Fright Night.
Evil.
So anyway, so he was great in this. This is actually a pretty damn good movie. It starts off slow. The first 45 minutes are like, okay, what's happening? But the last half hour is a mess of weirdness and good horror, and practical effects and that kind of stuff. I definitely would recommend it. Did you guys watch Tragedy of Macbeth yet?
No.
That's a fucking chore, man.
Oh,
man. Bit of a chore. I gotta say, now obviously I'm gonna the cinematography is amazing. I'm not gonna be mad if it gets nominated for anything because everybody's great in it. Don't get me wrong. Like Frances McDormand is seriously one of the best actors working. I think it's she cannot help but be unbelievable in everything that she does, and this is one of her better performances, which says a lot. So it's worth seeing for that alone. And Denzel, of course, is great as Macbeth. That all being said, it's Shakespeare, man. I can't pretend that I like Shakespeare. I like Shakespeare stories. I don't like Shakespearean language, and I found it just to be, a bit of a slog. So if you like Shakespeare, and this is Macbeth is my favorite Shakespeare story if I had to pick one. So that says a lot. I really tried to like Shakespeare, but I checked in on we kind of bashed. I got a lot here, guys, so bear with me a little bit.
Bring it.
It's fine.
We talked romantic comedies not so long ago, and when we did While You Were Sleeping, and I said there was a dearth of recent films, but I hadn't checked out one that has been pretty widely celebrated since 2019 when it came out on Netflix, and that was Always Be My Maybe. You guys seen that one? It was a delight, man. It was a fucking delight. It was really, really sweet. Randall Park is a great leading man, and what's her name? Ali Wong is so easy to watch in so many different ways because she's gorgeous and funny and charming. I really, really liked Always Be My Maybe. I mean, it's a little hokey. I mean, it's romantic comedy like we were talking about, but for what if you want a good one in a classic style, here you go. Always Be My Maybe. It was great.
Okay.
Always be my. Is that the Mariah Carey song? Is that what I'm thinking?
It is a reference to the. Yes. You are correct, sir. And I went with another Netflix film that I hadn't caught from 2018 because I've been really feeling the Jennifer Aniston and watching a lot of her stuff lately. And so I watched Dumpling from 2018. I thought this movie would have nothing for me, you know. I only because she's in it that I watch it. You know, you guys know the movie?
Yeah, it's about like baking or something, or no?
No, it's about like Jennifer Aniston she's really big in Texas and like the pageantry, like the teenager of the year, whatever the fuck, like, you know, best beauty pageant. That's what I'm groping for. It's all about beauty pageants, and she has a daughter who is, you know, non-conventional looking. I don't know how to phrase it, but she just looks like a normal person instead of like a beauty model. And you know,
she's a little dumpling.
She calls her daughter Dumpling. On paper, I don't know that this movie would. I'm like, beauty pageants. It's got a lot of drag queens in it. Harold Perrineau plays a great drag queen. I'm like, but this movie really emotionally affected me, and I really liked it. It was a different kind of role for Jennifer Aniston as antagonist, and I mean, it's a bit hokey again. I'm using that word, but I mean, like, it made me feel good. It was a good movie. So I'm going to recommend Dumpling.
You're going to recommend Dumpling? And
I'm recommending
pageants is
Dumpling.
Pageant. Pageant.
Yeah, that's
pageant.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know who loves beauty pageants, especially for kids, is Aaron Worley. I mean, he just can't get enough of that stuff.
Dead air.
That was just for you, Aaron, because Aaron like gets freaked out about that stuff. He gets terrified. He gets very uncomfortable whenever he sees that stuff.
Terrified of
yes, exactly.
Because he's a sane,
empathetic,
good person, and he's understandably,
like the kiddie ones.
Yeah, chilled by 6-year-olds. Like, yeah, but this wasn't that. This was like teenagers.
Yeah, that's a little Dumpling. Okay, well, yeah.
So,
Pagan from Dragnet.
You know, I've never been a John Wayne fan. You know,
okay.
I'm not
terrible racist.
Right, exactly. But I watched The Shootist from 1976. Unreal. I mean, it was so good. And this cast, you know, you got Jimmy Stewart. Was it Lauren Hutton? I think that's in it, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And, the tooth.
And
tooth?
Well, and
Ron
Howard,
the tooth.
a young Ron Howard. I mean, this movie was great. I mean, it was fucking great. Like, there's a reason why people still talk about The Shootist, not as much as they used to, but it was awesome. You've seen it, right, Eric?
Yeah, it's been a while. Bruce Dern, right? Isn't it? Or am I thinking of the Cowboy? I'm thinking of the Cowboys.
Yeah, no Dern in there. Not that I saw. There was a few other young versions of people like that. You know, a couple of more. It was a pretty great cast. But
Lauren Bacall, by the way, Lauren Bacall.
Yeah, thank you.
The tooth.
I mixed them up too, though. That's funny you did that because I do that as well. They must.
Who the hell is
similar.
Lauren Hutton? Is that a person?
I could see her. Yeah, that's her. She's the
gap tooth.
She's the gap tooth. Yeah,
same age though. Right?
Gap tooth.
I'm in the right ballpark.
Yeah, like same generation, same kind of face and hair, and like I don't know.
She got one of those face-shaped faces like you or me. To go Predestination.
I know. I was just gonna. That's good. That's very good. Yeah, that's great.
And then Wednesday morning, my life collapsed, and I stared at a wall for like 2 days. And when I finally kind of came down, you know what kind of brought me out of it? So first, I started watching Peacemaker. Have you guys started watching Peacemaker? Are you interested in this?
I have not, but there's a lot of buzz.
I'm loving it. I am loving it. I watched, I watched all those episodes. That was the first thing when I kind of returned to reality. And I found, I've been talking up Vacation Friends. I think last episode I was on. I'm like, I think that I might really like John Cena. Maybe. Whoa. I found myself really I don't know, dude. I was emotional wreck, and I found his presence on the screen extremely comforting and kind. So I just kind of I'm just gonna watch every John Cena movie pretty much that I can. That's not like him playing a wrestler or a soldier. Which I didn't really do with that great on that because I did end up watching Bumblebee where he plays a soldier and he's not super fun and fruity and sweet in that one, but I don't know why I said fruity. I meant fruity fresh. Anyways, for the record, and
Bumblebee, train wreck.
I'd seen that before. I'm actually kind of been saving that one for the pod, so I didn't watch it. I've been thinking about bringing that one on the pod for some time. It was almost that instead of This Is 40 when we did This Is 40. Aaron chiming in with Peacemaker rules. I agree, dude. I mean, I love James Gunn. I've sung his praises before, but Peacemaker is really, really good.
I saw one clip on TikTok. There was one scene about his coterie of villains. I laughed my ass off. He's being harassed by his neighbor. It was such a bizarre, out of context scene to not see the show, but I laughed. So I bet it's funny.
Yeah, it's very funny, but it's also like classic Gunn. There's like a heart to it. You know, it's weird and it's funny, and there's a heart. It's good. And the best acting that you're going to see from Cena by a country mile at this point. I mean, like he's really
really?
He's really like zoned in for this. He's like, I think he knows that Peacemaker is a game changer for him. I think we'll see a lot more.
I like his outfit though. I don't like the outfit. I wish it was cool.
You're not supposed to. He's supposed to look dumb. Like he's kind of goofy. So I watched Bumblebee, and it turns out they did, after all, make one good Star Wars or Transformers movie. I liked Bumblebee quite a bit. I was surprised. Okay. Bumblebee was good. Cena was barely in it, but Haley Steinfeld was great, and it was a good story. It was good. I was really surprised. I was ready to be like, "What the fuck ever." You know what really got me though?
Oh boy!
And like again, like I'm coming from the depths of true sorrow when I'm watching this. I really enjoyed playing with fire with John Leguizamo as well as John Cena.
Come on, Travis, dude. I can understand the tragic circumstances here, but it's getting out of control.
Look, I'm just saying that if you want to, like, obviously it kind of reminded me of Daddy Daycare, which I also didn't hate. And it's for like a family movie. Again, like for the genre, I'm not comparing it to whatever, I'm just saying that for what it was, I genuinely liked playing with fire. I thought it was good. It was stupid and it was childish, but it was like a sweet little family movie that would be good with kids. And it hit the arrow, or hit the bullseye for me. Went ahead and rewatched Daddy's Home 2 because he's in it for like 5 minutes. So I really was just all about John Cena
Fest.
I literally like basically. I know it's fucking weird, but like I just couldn't bring it. Like I didn't want to watch anything else. If it didn't have Cena involved, I was like literally staring at the wall or the ceiling.
I get it.
Of all people to bring you out of the doldrums, John,
you never know.
I had no idea I was such a fan.
Yeah, c'est la vie, man. All right.
Aaron's saying the first 10 minutes of Bumblebee, that's a Transformers movie I need for 90 minutes. Yes, because it does take place on their home planet, and it's a classic like a Terminator thing. You're like, oh, you could have made that the whole movie and made the choice to go with the other thing, like Terminator 2, where you're watching the battle in the beginning.
I didn't know Cybertron's in it. That's cool. Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I got to see that.
Travis, it looks like you're also going to have to watch Scooby-Doo and the WrestleMania Mystery. From 2014? Oh, Cena Fest.
Yeah, I saw that existed. I didn't chime in.
Okay. All right. Checking.
We're checking, I guess I should say. And right about there is when I was like, okay, I kind of climbed out of my Cena pit and got back to I went to my dad's and spent some time with him and to just kind of get out of my house for a little while. And I
John, how you doing?
Yeah, John Roy. So I sat there with my father and we watched from 2001, The Last Brickmaker in America, which is the very last Sidney Poitier film that he ever did. Oh. And it's definitely like a Hallmark movie or it's a very much a family movie. It was cheesy as hell. But Sidney, the man could act. If it was worth watching because it was his final performance and it was a really good performance, it was kind of a cheesy movie, but it was still like it was a good one to sit with the father and watch. You know what I mean?
It's got a 7.4 on IMDb. I don't know.
I ranked it, I think 7 or 8. I gave it a pretty high ranking when I watched it. I mean, like again, like for the genre, if you go in expecting kind of a Hallmark kind of movie, there wasn't a ton of surprises in there, but it was a pretty well done movie and of course well acted. I mean, the man could fucking act. Put anyone else almost in the role and the movie would have been unwatchable. Probably.
Wow.
Also co-stars Piper Laurie, who's another nondescript actress.
Yeah, Piper Laurie pops in 2 scenes that clearly she had done in the same location. She'd clearly come in for like a day's work.
She's still alive. She's 90.
I know she's still with us. God bless her. Revisiting.
I could smell the whiskey on his breath. I liked it.
I revisit sorry?
Carrie.
Oh, yeah. I revisited Eternals, made sure I really did like it as much as I thought I did, and I do. I know a lot, and it's a controversial film. I think Eternals is great. And I broke the glass, rewatched Ted Lasso season 1 and 2. forgetting that season 2 starts with a fucking dead dog bit, like a whole dead dog thing.
Oh, come on, man.
But other than that, Ted Lasso is perfect for when you're depressed. That's a great.
Had you seen that season? Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's only 2 seasons.
Oh, what an error that was.
I totally
Poor
forgot
bastard.
that season 2 starts with that. But I mean, like honestly, it's a thumbtack in the middle of a big gooey marshmallow. Like the rest of it was fine.
Yeah, Leanne loved Ted Lasso. We watched both seasons when we spent the holiday together. She ate it up. So
yeah,
people love the show.
It's great, and to be like in a bad place, it's a nice, sit there and watch something that's a little ray of sunshine.
That's actually I would think it would be useful. I really would.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I broke the glass, like emergency glass. I'm like, I gotta go in. I gotta fucking find something light. I gotta do this. I gotta save myself. So I've been binging that. Last but not least, I'll wrap this up finally. My big recommendation, I think, for since I've been gone, Nobody from 2021. Starring the great Bob Odenkirk. There's a sequel in the works. Let's hope he's in the health that he can do it. As I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking to myself, this, like, the action movies just live in the shadow of John Wick now. It's written by the same motherfucker who wrote John Wick. So I'm like, oh, okay, that explains a lot. So there are some similarities, absolutely. But dude, king badass in this movie. Bob Odenkirk is king badass. It's not what I expected. Not quite what I expected. I mean, some of it is there. And people are talking about Christopher Lloyd again, and because he's been working again, and he was in the Tender Bar. Dude, he's in this, and he is awesome in this. Like, really,
wow,
yeah, really. Like, if you've been hankering for Christopher Lloyd role and to see him kind of have some fun, this is a good one.
Yeah, he was my number one on our where is he now segment. Remember, we were like missing in action. Like, he was my number one. He's just the best character actor, but he was gone for so long. He's
back. That's two movies in 2021, and nobody was. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
He's 81 years old.
Wow, he looks it.
Oh, wait a minute. My math is bad. He's 83. 83. There we go. Sorry.
No, he doesn't look a day past 81.
Hey, all right. Woo! Eric, we got to get over to your selections. Sure. Before we get to your selections, though, I have to rectify the email error I made prior to this segment. Aaron did send another email about not predestination stuff. This was at around the 14-minute mark of your last episode featuring Chris Deary, which you can all watch on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Eric mentions the thriller movie The Rental, and you tried to recall where you'd heard it recently. You heard me mention this movie during the Brotherhood of the Wolf episode.
And I also, in the previous episode before that, had talked about it when I watched it.
Yeah, I knew there was a genesis to this, so now it's being cleared up. Funny enough, the conversations were similar, with Travis making nearly the same summer rental joke as Deary. I guess this is in our backlogs. It's an easy joke. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I go for low-hanging fruit.
Oh, that's great, because Aaron loved it. This made me laugh, and so I went back and watched the Brotherhood episode. It's hilarious. You should revisit that one, if for nothing more than the society bit. Okay. Society bit. It makes me laugh. Also, Matt got a top 5.
I love laughing at my own bits.
Right, exactly.
It's not terrible.
In tribute, Madison got his top 5 movie list in, so fuck it. I'll try mine too real quick. 5-1 from 2021 is Antlers, The Green Knight, The Harder They Fall, No Sudden Move, and finally, Old Henry.
Old Henry. Fucking awesome.
See that. Yeah, I need to see Old Henry.
That is Aaron Morley's top 5 of 2021. Thank you, Aaron. And you can all email the show like he did, cinnamonnightpod@protonmail.com.
Yeah. Cool. And Green Knight's getting a lot of good talk, too. And also, shout out to Deary. I really do wish that I had been up for that. Where I would like to bring Chris back on and as soon as we can, so we can do it properly. The Cinema Palazzo 9 podcast. Matt Wilson chiming in. Okay, totally off topic, and I don't get to watch a lot of movies, but Monster Squad came on, and it really brought me back to the 80s. Curious what the 90s cast, what the 9 cast thinks. I wish I was wearing my Monster Squad t-shirt. I got my Stephen King Rules t-shirt somewhere in this house right now. I love Monster Squad. It's classic.
It's been a while. Yeah.
It's been
not
30 years at least.
It's been like 3 months for me.
Wow.
3 months. Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
probably.
the good news, dear, it was when Deary's on the show and you weren't able to be here. This is one of the benefits of having 3 people, 3 hosts. So
Yeah.
just in case someone's not here, we still have plenty of people to discuss and fill the void. But we did miss you. But
Fill my
it's
void.
also a bonus. Sometimes we fill his void. Sometimes we complain like, oh, maybe we have too many voices on the show. But sometimes it works out well when we lose one. So I love our show no matter what. But I'm trying to look at the bright side of things. Always look on the bright side.
Over a
All right,
dog.
Eric Brancham.
Oh,
Over
wow.
a dog.
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
Travis.
shit.
It's
That
as
really
good as it
was.
gets.
What the fuck?
As good as it gets.
It's as
Watch
good as
any
it
movie
gets.
there?
That's like you get a pass for that one? Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
what the
I
fuck?
guess.
All right, go ahead,
Movie
Eric.
quote, I can say whatever I want. Fuck you. Movies.
Shit.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've been watching a lot of cold case files and paranormal caught on tape. It's been a weird week.
All right.
But
That's it.
you know,
That's
I
the
watched
truth.
I watched some stuff though. So I finally pulled the trigger on Showtime's limited series American Rust, the Jeff Daniels, Maura Tierney
Yeah.
series. Did you watch it, Mike?
Yeah, you talked to.
Oh, yeah. I loved it.
Oh, I completely blanked out on that. Yeah, I don't know. It was all right for me. Like I watched all 8 episodes. Then I fell asleep during the final episode, and I didn't bother to like watch it. So,
Oh.
what does that tell you? Like,
We'll tell you
a
that
lot.
that
It's
episode
just okay
does
for
leave
me.
you hanging.
It's just
Okay.
okay for me. Like, I love the cast, but I was like, the mystery is like solved in like episode 2, and the rest is like, all right, they're just wandering around.
What the?
So I don't know about feeling
All
it.
right, fine, man. I'm not even gonna. All right, Eric, Travis hasn't seen it, so we can't really discuss it further. Than
The elements are there. We've
got.
got like a sheriff addicted to like opioids. Yeah, great. The elements are there, but they don't get into it that much. It's just like they're just
I
laying
don't know
there.
if it's opioids or antidepressants. He's on a lot of medicine. I'm not sure what it is exactly. Opioids are involved in the realm, but all right, we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
enough. Too many spoilers.
Too many spoilers. Somewhere in Time. Remember 1980,
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Screenplay and story from the
This is the
legendary
trade-off
master
movie.
himself, Richard Madison. Yeah,
Right?
this was like totally coincidental, like another time paradox film here. I'm watching this, and it's been a long time. This is a fucking awesome movie, man. We got a warm, earnest performance from the late great Christopher Reeve, and absolutely exquisite 29-year-old Jane Seymour. Shot on Mackinac Island. It's a lot of fun, dude.
Oh.
Peculiar take on the time travel subgenre. I dig it. It was awesome.
This was the trade-off movie for, hey, I get to do Superman 2. You let me do whatever I want. This was the deal with that, I believe. You know, it's
Yeah,
let
they're
me
like,
make a
whatever.
romance.
But after that, you're going to get back in the suit, you son of a bitch. You make
Yeah,
your
and you'll stay
Mackinac
all the way
time travel
through.
movie.
you're going to be here through part 4,
Yeah.
The Quest for Peace,
You
and you're
go to
going to like
Mackinac.
it.
Yeah. Now go.
Fine,
stand
Chris,
up.
you want to go to Mackinac Island? You'll go to Mackinac Island. Then you're going straight to Krypton, you motherfucker. But yeah, a fun movie and an interesting take. You don't see a lot of movies like that. And then I did it. And I'm so glad I did because I was fucking blown away. Tick, tick, boom. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's fucking. It's one of the best films of the year, I think.
I sat
It is.
there and I'm like, Christ, is the music by Jonathan Larson or Lin-Manuel? Because like they sound extremely similar. And then I guess it's all from Larson himself. And Lynn's probably just a huge admirer, so he kind of adopted the approach. But I loved every number. I was blown the fuck away by a first-time director, Lin-Manuel Miranda's. His direction was exquisite. Like this is like a lifetime of filmmaking from a first timer. Like all of the tricks, the structure was perfect. The flow, I was never bored. I mean, obviously blown away by Andrew Garfield, who I've always been kind of like, there he is, like it's Andrew Garfield, whatever. But I was fucking blown away.
Yeah, barring Nick Cage not getting the recognition he deserves for Pig, you know, that's my expectation is that the Academy is going to fucking sit on their ass on that one. But so not counting Nick Cage, Andrew Garfield is my hope for Best Actor.
Oh,
this year.
they should hand him the Oscar right now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Did you see him in Hacksaw Ridge? He was incredible in that movie. So he's a very good actor.
He is.
I mean, I think we all should know that and accept that. Forget the Spider-Man crap. I mean,
hey, I liked both the Spider-Man, or all three, I guess now.
well, it wasn't his fault. that's a whole nother bit. He was good as Spider-Man. He was a good Peter Parker. It was just there was no need to have that rebooted so quickly, and it's out of his hands.
Well, they had to hold on to the rights of the property, so
hold on to your rights. Tick Tick Boom, I love it.
Man.
Friend of the show, Derek Myers, who we have had as a guest host on the show recently when he did Galaxy Quest, right? And he's from the Pop Goes Your World podcast. Check out the Pop Goes Your World podcast. They're good people over there, Chris and Derek. I listened to them on one of the recent episodes, and Derek ripped. He's like, "What the hell's this Tick Tick Boom? I watched it. It was terrible." I was very disappointed to hear that, but
well, they can't win them all.
It had everything I need.
Had to close out sometime, Kev.
Yeah, no
good
shit.
run, Kev.
Loved it, man. So,
yeah,
that's about it for me, Mike. What do you got?
I got nothing. I've been obsessed with these stupid ass Mayday YouTube show. It's a Canadian series, Mayday Air Disasters, and I've just watched like every single one of these. I've probably watched. Oh yeah, they're all on YouTube. It's a really well done Canadian series, which retells or dramatizes an actual air crisis. A lot of them end up good, as happy. A lot of them don't end up happy because people die, but sometimes good things come out of it. Oh yeah, I have watched like 30 of them over the last couple of weeks here. There's so many of them on there, and I just gobble them up. I'm so fascinated by it. Some dumb shit released to happen. We are living in, hands down, the best time ever for aviation. It has never been safer to fly. We are living in the golden age of safety when it comes to airplanes, and I'm grateful for that. But, I watched the one about the Flight 255, the Delta Northwest crash that happened here, DTW, in 1987. One girl survived that. One young girl. Everybody else died. She was 4 years old, and she's alive today. So that's pretty cool. Wow. I mean, it sucks everyone else died.
You're not like soul drained from this? Because I went down a rabbit hole, I think last summer, where I was listening to black box recordings from down planes, and I was shooken up for 3 straight days. I could not shake off this residue. I was so fucking freaked out. Yeah, so I'm like, you're jazzed about this show? I would be fucking terrified. I'm never going back.
I'm not jazzed. Oh my God. I'm not I find it very fascinating. And I, like you, have also listened to that shit. I used to listen to these 911 calls from the people that were in the towers before they crashed. They were terrifying. Oh, I'm fascinated by it.
It's getting morbid.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what you mean by so was it coming from a place of you just wanted to understand what it was that they went through, and it wasn't
it's the closest you can really get to. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be in the 110th floor of the towers. No. But when you listen to it, and it's so intense. It's hard to describe. I'm fascinated by it because in our culture, death is removed a lot. It's we're avoided or we're pushed away from it. War happens, we have soldiers who die all the time, and it's we never even know what happens anymore. You know what I mean? So I guess that's what I just really fascinated by that shit, because it's so strange, because one day we're all gonna go, and
I'd love to move on from this topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Once again.
Hey, you guys asked me. I'm answering the questions. So I think beyond all that, though, it's a really well done series. Really, there was a guy who was an actor in American Psycho who played one of the pilots. I was like, oh my God, it's that fucking guy. And it's the lawyer. The guy, remember the lawyer he confesses everything to the next day at the restaurant or the bar? It was You don't know American Psycho?
Travis's return to normalcy is taken to.
You've never seen American Psycho? Are you kidding me? Come on,
man.
You haven't memorized the supporting cast of American Psycho?
Who has? I mean, I would assume everyone on this show has seen that movie at least 20 times. It seems like all of you guys have watched it.
I can't. Yeah. I'm blanking on who you're talking about. I can't just recall. Was he the white guy in the suit in that movie?
Yeah, slick back hair.
Yeah, slick back hair. Talked really fast.
Yeah,
actually, he didn't have slick back hair. He did talk quickly though, and he was white with a suit on, and he had a drink.
Okay,
it's true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there was no Coke.
I'll be damned.
All right. Well, that's what people.
Now I know it's scene.
See, I knew it. I
don't.
That's what we've been watching, folks. I'm hoping I get back to watching some movies. Shit. The only movie I did watch is the movie that we're about to talk to now. Our main event.
Under duress, you watched it.
I had to get it in. I wanted to get it in because it was a new movie to me, too. And I want to watch more new movies. I've just been super focusing on other stuff. And I hate to sacrifice movies, but sometimes I guess I got to stop watching YouTube when I go to bed at night. I got to start watching more movies. At any rate, it's time for Predestination. 2014 selection from Travis Roy, who selected this film. And it stars Ethan Hawke, and it has brothers directing it. It's one of those movies where it says directed by the Bozo brothers. They're not the Bozo brothers.
Spirit brothers.
Travis, thank you. So you selected this movie, and a lot of people were like, what is this movie? What's going on? This is wild. So take us under the hood here. Take us back in time.
Look, I'm going to 100% come out and admit this was a from left field choice, I guess. I kind of surprised myself with this. I was not... My brain had, blown up and splattered all on the inside of my skull. So I just scraped it up long enough to be like, Predestination 2014. But I kind of figured we've kind of been a little bit in a rut, watching, not in a rut, but we've watched a lot of movies from the 90s and early 2000s. And I'm not done watching movies from the 90s and early 2000s, but I just thought, we got this whole 5-year rule that we don't take full advantage of, I think, a lot of the time. The most recent film we've done otherwise had all been from 2012. So I was like, so I kind of went back through 20, so I guess went to 2017 and then 16 and then 15, trying to find a movie that kind of stuck out to me as something that I had seen and wanted to watch again that I thought was pretty good, but I'd only seen once. But when I did watch it, I thought, this is good. Let's give it another shot. And I ended up falling on Predestination, which admittedly is a bit obscure. It's not The Girl Next Door. It's not Swingers. It's not something that people have seen and made a classic of, but it is something that if you've seen it, you remember it, it, you've thought about it since you watched it. Probably. I don't think it's the kind of movie that you're going to see and forget about. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, The Girl Next Door, by the way, climbing the charts at over 5,000 views. I don't know why everyone loves that one, but hey, keep it coming. That's pretty crazy. That's our overwhelmingly most viewed show on our YouTube channel. Which
Thank you, YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, I guess there's something about that movie. I don't know. Yeah. All right, Eric. So you've seen this movie before. Take us back in time to your first viewing.
I got it out of the Red Box as I stumbled home from the bar at like 2 a.m. in 2015. I'm like, Ethan Hawke, whatever. Yeah. Took it home. I watched it like half drunk, and I turned it off, and I'm like, what the fuck? Ethan Hawke looks nothing like her. And haven't thought about it since. So I was like, I've been under the impression this is like the dumbest movie I've ever seen until I recently saw it. So when I first saw it, I was like, okay, if you're not paying attention to this movie completely and entirely every second of the time, and you get lost even for a split second, it's over. You're fucked. So if you're like me and it's 2:30 in the morning and you're drunk, and you're watching it half caring, you're going to be like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. That was the last time.
It is not a movie for that kind of situation.
Yep. Yeah.
What's the rating then? I don't know. I have any clue what the rating is. I have no background on this film either, so I don't have a story to share. I assume people like this, though. The people that did rate it, I think it's going to be probably like a 7.3.
I was going to say 7.4.
I'll go drop it down. I'll go 6.8.
All right.
7.5.
Wow.
Out of how
Travis
many?
wins.
Out of how many votes?
Really hearty 272,000. So it's not
hardy.
A minuscule amount.
Yeah.
It's actually in the top 1,000 of popularity right now. It's rising. It has a green arrow going up, meaning in terms of the most movies viewed on their website of IMDb, this is in the top 1,000.
So that's another reason I thought it'd be a good one to do. I watched it in 2015 and thought that's a damn good movie. And then probably sometime over the last year and a half or so, I've noticed that it keeps popping up in people's like best of lists. And, I think it's kind of becoming a cult classic. It's early in its cult classic phase, and it's finding its audience slowly and surely. But the people that, it's the kind of movie you're going to talk up and be like, hey, have you heard of this movie Predestination? Have you seen this movie? This Heinlein flick. So I think that it's got a bigger audience than you might expect. We'll find out when we post this and see what the numbers are, I guess.
There's a lot of Americans making this face like, oh, if they saw this movie.
There's always Americans making that face.
We do that a lot.
There are always Americans making that face. You're right. I will say this. It is going to hold up in terms of being palatable and interesting to the future generation. I can clearly see it to me. Like, even if they never see it, and once they find out about it, it's just going to attract more people. I believe that. But we'll talk more about that later. 84% from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes with a 75 from the audience. So a little lower from the audience, but that's still 3 out of 4. That's good.
It's 75 is still pretty generous. I mean, it's still.
Yeah, it's quite generous. Goody Coots said it was a thrill ride. It was a gift. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I just wanted. I shouldn't do that.
Come on,
my bad. I haven't seen him in forever. Where are you, Goody Coots? We're still looking for you.
We're out now, Goody Coots.
We're making up quotes on your behalf because we miss you so much.
And that's too late for Destin Thompson. So we're not going to get any Destin Thompson review. Peter Travers.
I'm sure we'll find Pete. Kim Newman of the Empire magazine. You may have heard of it. A funny, affecting, twisted tale, which demands you pay close attention to every throwaway detail.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, you do. Like, you do have to, if you do pay attention, to get into a little early on some of the spoilers. So if you haven't seen this movie, stop watching or listening.
Good idea. Yeah.
Watching it the second time, I'm like, oh shit, they tell me everything. They tell us everything, the whole movie. Like I didn't realize it, but the dialogue, they tell us everything that's coming, everything that's happening. It's spoken very clearly and plainly, and I just did not pick up on any of it with my first viewing. Just about.
Yeah, you'll never have a first watch of this again.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Ever.
Yeah, it's true. What's that first voiceover? You can guarantee that you'll get away with killing the person that did this to you. Well, why? Because it's you. You can't get in trouble for suicide. You can't go to prison for murder for killing yourself. So yeah, you'll get away with it.
That is thoughtful.
There you go. First mind blow.
Travis, Peter Travers said, you won't be able to take your eyes off Sarah Snook, an Aussie actress who makes whatever sex she's playing almost irrelevant. You watch her, you hear her, you believe. I would agree.
That's the thing. Because when I watched it drunk, I was like, oh, fucking Ethan Hawke and Leo DiCaprio and Dane DeHaan? Wait, who the fuck is that?
That's good.
Yeah, I was unfamiliar with her, and I'm not going to forget her after this. You know, she's on it's a Billion. No, she's on Succession now.
Yeah, that's how I know her. Okay, thank you. I never looked it up while I watched the movie. I'm like, I know this face, but I can't place it. You're right. You're absolutely right. Oh, yes! Yes, Goody Coots! Woo!
Bring it.
All right. Bill Goody Coots of the Arizona Republic said in January of 2015, it's certainly imaginative with high-minded ideas, but Hawk and Snook are what keep it grounded in truth.
Okay. I guess. I mean,
not your best, Goody Coots. You could have done that.
Yeah, no. I think we like the name more than the reviews.
That's true. I've been blown away. Very declarative. I'm like, come on, Goody Coots. Live up to your name.
That's funny. But yeah, clearly, I guess he's saying their performances keep it more grounded and realistic. Is that what he's saying?
I guess so. Yeah, that's what I got from it.
Sure. You believe it, I guess, to a certain extent, because I mean, you don't have John Cena. I mean, you don't have lesser actors. You
leave my Cena out of this.
Oh boy!
Cena. I raise you a hog.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Close it out with he's pretty good. Yeah. I'll close it out with Justin Chang from Variety. A breakout performance by Sarah Snook distinguishes this entrancingly strange science fiction drama. So seems like Snook stole the day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a role. But you know, it's not. It is her.
Yeah.
It's not just her playing this role. I checked.
Noah Taylor?
Well, no, I wasn't going to go to him. I checked. There is no less than 7 people playing this one character. 7 people throughout the course of the film play this character, because there are 2 sets of twins that play the babies at 2 different stages.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the little girl playing her like at 10.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's already 5. And then you got Snook and Hawk.
That's true.
Wow.
And you've got, you've got many interpretations of them, both Jane, John, the barkeep, the Fizzy Bomber,
right,
and all the stand-ins and everybody else. So incredible. So what are we gonna call these characters? How are we gonna how are we even gonna do this show? Do we call Jane, John, like bartender, Fizzy,
Snook and Hawk? It would probably be.
There's the whole pronoun thing. Like, how are we gonna do this?
As best we can.
Look,
piece it together.
Yeah, we'll do.
Right.
we'll hang in there. Luke Orbeck's here. He says the show is amazing. It's fantastic. He's waiting for dinner at Hunter House, which is a garbage, greasy burger joint in Birmingham, Michigan. If you ever go there, it's basically like up-class White Castle, high-class White Castle, I guess. But I want to go back to that. So
they put a White Castle on a plate?
That might be disrespectful. That's not cool. I want to go back to Aaron's original email, though, because it sets the tone for the rest of our discussion on the movie. This was about Predestination. He said, would have liked to have comment live, but I'm working. Well, looks like you are here live now. I don't know when you wrote this. I watched Predestination. Cool-ass movie. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Brilliantly simple good one. Brilliantly simple foreshadowing. Loved this movie. Gonna watch it again this weekend. How did I miss this? Great job, Travis. Of course, with any time traveling take, you gotta flow through the nature of the universe. You gotta throw the nature of the universe out the window. And that's okay. Loved it. Go fuck yourself, they said. Bet, she replied.
What? Okay.
Very strong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well done. Well done. I'll finish this quickly. I'd love to see or read a time travel tale that deals with the fact that the universe has finite matter and energy. Like if a person goes back during the same time a former self exists, that matter, body and energy to travel in time is doubled. So the universe would have to pull that matter and energy from somewhere else to allow for reality and keep a balance of finite material. Does this make sense? Total mind blow from Aaron.
Oh, okay.
That made sense. Have you seen Primer? That might be up your alley, Aaron, if you haven't seen it.
He's saying that you can't add matter to the universe. It's got to come from somewhere. So it's like from what I've heard, you got to have something called exotic matter, which is like non-existent matter that has negative mass in order to make that time travel. That's the only possible thing that could go through time curvatures is
dark
something that has negative mass. It's not dark matter. It's literally, they call it exotic matter, but it has not just no mass, but negative mass. So it can account for the whatever the fuck is going on. So yeah, I mean, it's all bullshit anyway.
Well put.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Wow, what a great segue. So this is one person then, because I am confused. I was really into this movie, completely focused, dedicated, watched it completely. And the only part I skipped was when they were having their connective time together, when the man version of Snook and the female version are having dinner there. Like not when they first met, but after I knew they met and before they meet at the bench, they're like at the table talking about stuff. I'm like, who cares? So that was the only part I skipped. Oh, it was like a minute. But like my point is that I got really confused to knowing who was who at the end. I mean, Ethan Hawke confronts himself. This girl makes out with herself.
It was all explained in the diner, the dining scene, the one you skipped. It was all made.
That's the key scene. That was the integral scene.
I know it.
They spelled it out. Literally, there was text on the screen. Yep. You fast forward it when text came on the screen and said, "Listen, this is her, and in the future, he's going to turn into Ethan Hawke." You fucked up, Mike.
You're like, I cannot. Idiot. Maybe just pause and go do something if you're feeling fidgety, then come back.
I was backwards Mike Govey on this because while you fast forward the movie all the time, I kept rewinding this so I wouldn't miss anything.
Ooh, that's smart. I got pissed during that part of the movie. So he takes this they have this long exchange at the bar. This long story is told. The greatest story you'll ever hear. Is it worth a bottle of booze? We find out. Yeah. No. And it's a lot of narration too. And once it's all done and Hawk coaxes Snook into coming downstairs and going on this next adventure with him. And then once they do that, he leaves her to it, goes off to find the Fizzy Bomber, by the way, which is a terrible name, which they make fun of, which
Fizzle,
Fizzle.
Yeah, that's funny. But so when he goes to attack him, he's right behind him with a gun. And I got really pissed off by the fact that he couldn't take out. He had the bomber dead to rights right there, but he couldn't shoot him. He missed him,
I'm
and
not
then
sure
this
what
dumb
part-
fight ensues.
You mean like in the boiler
know what-
room area?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
After he's left her in the past, and he goes to confront. This is my chance now. This is about 45, 50 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm like,
Fizzle
it
Bomber
bothered
took the
me.
drop on him. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it wasn't.
But he didn't. He had the drop on him. He was behind him with the gun ready to go, and then the other guy has a gun pointed to his head, and then somehow he kicks it away. And that was, to me, it bothered me. It's the only lame part of the movie. I'm like, oh, that's cheesy. He was able to survive, and they tried to heighten the drama. That was the only part that really bothered me, and maybe that led to me skipping that one diner scene because he was right next to that.
Oh, okay, whatever justifies it. I'm
telling you.
Well, you brought it up
pissed.
real quickly. The bottle of Doers. I really love when Ethan Hawke comes back in time, literally just to grab the bottle. He comes in like 74, whatever it is, just to grab the bottle of Doers and quit.
I quit. I love it. It's hilarious.
The whole time,
I got a hearty laugh.
I'm my own grandpa is playing on the jukebox, which chef's kiss.
I'm just not sure that the bartender won the bet. He sat there and listened to like a 3-hour-long story about a sex change reassignment, and then immediately it was like, great story. It's the best I've ever heard. I got a time machine in my basement. Want to check it out? Clearly, like when he heard about a time machine existing, that was the best story he's ever heard. But
he already knew the story. He'd already lived the story. What do you mean? The whole time he sat there.
I guess.
The whole time he sat there and listened to the story, he was.
That's the cool thing.
Yeah, he was listening to an earlier version of himself that he had already experienced.
Did you get that?
It's a paradox. The whole movie's just a paradox.
The whole movie's a predestination paradox, as Noah Taylor says. But so either way, winner, like he wins the bottle either way because he's both the winner and the loser. That's why it's brilliant.
Here's a great question. Aaron wants to know, does that whiskey age going back in time?
I don't think so. If nothing else is.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
fucks up your brain. What did it do to the whiskey? Skunk whiskey?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, like this. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, because this is talked about several times from Noah Taylor's character, Robertson. Great Noah Taylor in this, by the way. He's always understated, but he's always excellent.
He's always there to explain a complicated plot.
Yeah,
Vanilla Sky, Citizen Dildo, whatever it is. Yeah, he's here to do that.
It is feeling like a familiar kind of role for him at this point. Like I show up in
Get Noah Taylor in here.
What's happening? This is what I do in movies.
Wait, how is the audience going to know what the fuck's going on? Fuck, get Noah Taylor on the phone right now.
It's a perfect shout out because Luke was here in the chat for the Citizen Dildo tribute. Citizen Dildo, Luke.
Citizen Dildo.
But the original point being that, oh shit, that made me laugh and I lost what I was going to say here.
Really psychosis.
It's a psychosis.
Yes, thank you. Yep. So they kind of I wanted a little bit more about that because they kept hinting at the risks of illegal jumps and too much jumping, and I didn't feel like I got the actual, unless they're showing it to you instead of telling you.
I think that they are, because the thing is with this paradox, at least this is how I take it, is that this is a perpetual loop, right, that he's on. But the thing is that like each time he does the loop, he has less memory and less understanding of what it is that he's doing. So he actually gets to the point, he's at this point in the loop where he now makes the choice to record instructions for himself because he's going to forget the future. So he's trying to
that's why I say it's problematic when he's talking about it.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so we're actually catching him halfway or whatever. I mean, it's interminable, but mid loop, we're catching him mid loop, and I think he degrades a little bit each loop.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not geniuses like they are, because you got to be the brightest and best to do this job. So maybe we just won't understand.
You got to be the brightest and best to fuck the astronauts.
Yeah.
Fuck astronauts.
Yep. R&R. Come on, dude. Come on.
Space Corp is fishy.
Yep. They're pretty. And I love how they're just casually saying, well, out of all these hookers and that girl, she's the smartest. You guys want to go with her?
Wow.
Well, what I want to know is, are the other girls that they're not actually vetting for the time travel agency, are they actually sending those women to space to fuck real astronauts then? Is that what's happening with this business? Because I'm disturbed.
I thought they may have all been, what is it? What are we going to say here? Intersexual, and they were just trying to get lucky with intersexual people.
No. She was the unicorn. She was unique.
Yeah.
or he, or I don't even.
Well, they.
Sarah Snook's
We
character
could just say
that
that would make sense.
Come on, Mike.
Sarah Snook's character is the person because
Jane.
This is the thing.
Jane
Jane,
slash John
yes,
slash
Jane.
the bartender slash the
Barkeep too. It said barkeep on my subtitles, which is funny.
Barkeep.
Barkeep says, but this is one character too. See, this goes back to what I'm asking. Like, I just didn't get it that this is all the same human being.
Yes,
Literally,
they're everyone.
Yeah, like every character in the movie is the same person, except
it's like the three.
Taylor. Right? It's being
Literally
done.
like
those
the
two
three.
agents,
the three.
the doctor.
Cop and killer are the same. See, every movie for this example, it's the three. They're all the same. It's like so typical.
Yeah.
So, what? Really? I got really confused when he stood up, Hawk stood up, and he had the same scars as John Jane. And I was like, wait, they show it like in a flash.
Okay, can I lay it all out real quick then? From like,
yes, please.
From soup to nuts. All right.
Yep.
So this child is born. Okay.
Mhm.
This child is kidnapped. And the kidnapper leaves the child in an orphanage. The child is raised, and once that child comes into adulthood as a young woman, she enters this program, and happens that then also meet this guy who knocks her up and disappears. She gives birth. The child is kidnapped. She goes on and learns that this is really tragic. Some complication from birth. The doctors made these choices against her will, which totally tracks in the 1940s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah,
doctors would make choices for people like this all the time, and later than that even. And so they turn her into a man, erase her identity, and she's enraged, and she's all fucked up, and her identity's messed up, and so she fixates on the guy that ruined her life, quote unquote. Then meets this guy that introduces her to time travel, brings her into this job where she moves around chasing this time terrorist. And as she ages, at one point, eventually she's close to defeating this terrorist, and the terrorist gets a drop on her, and stopping a bomb, she accidentally blows her own face off. But at this point, she's a he. Sorry, at this point she's John. So there's reconstructive surgery, and he looks completely different afterwards. And then he ages past that too. So there's a new face, and he gets significantly older. And that version is the barkeep, Ethan Hawke. And then that version also even gets even older and disenchanted and weird, and tells himself that by killing people he's saving people, and becomes the Fizzy Bomber. Right. So it's all like this big fucking hyperloop. Bizarre.
You skipped a step. You skipped my favorite step, which is when after the accident and the recovery, Noah Taylor sends him on his last mission, which is literally to ensure his own existence by going back to 1970, making sure that he convinces John to go kill who is actually John so that he can exist and be born. Then he goes into retirement after that job has been completed, lives his life, finds out that his time travel device has not been decommissioned but can still work. Right. So he continues to do jumps thinking he's helping people, and yet he's doing more and more damage because of his psychosis. He thinks by blowing up a building, he's going to prevent someone from being able to go into that building and kill people. That's how fucked up his brain is. And he becomes the Fizzy Bomber.
Right.
But he kills him too at the end. He's like, no more.
And that's what he tells him. He says, like, if you want to break the cycle, if you want to break the loop, you have to love
Don't kill me.
You have to accept yourself.
Just like John did to Jane.
Right.
Yeah, that made tons of sense, and I really dug that. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up because that was it was deep as hell, but it was beautifully stated and powerful and intense, and there's a lot of truth to it. There is truth to the fact it's a lot easier to hate, and they talk about that in the movie. Yeah. They have this conversation. A lot easier to hate someone than it is to love them, right?
Yeah.
And John agrees, like, yeah.
Yeah, and the movie is so like intense, and then then he's just sitting on the bed, and he's like, "You are the best thing that's ever happened to me. I miss you dreadfully." And he looks up, and you're like, "This is the perfect moment for it to end." And yet at the same time, it's completely abrupt. It's so. Yep. I mean, it's a very unique film. Gives you a very unique feeling.
Yeah,
And-
it's like retro
yeah.
futuristic too, because they go back and forth. They got time travel. They've created it in the 80s, so it's.
Which is cool.
But then you got simple guns
Yeah,
like
cool.
6-shooters, and they're going back to the 60s and 50s with these outfits. It's all over the place with like, but they don't mix in a lot of anachronisms, right? He makes a point about that, an anachronism, like don't use those, avoid those, and the music doesn't do that either, because the music of this movie is basically just the dun 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 dun, you know, like a low key, very chill, kind of massive
it's
attacky
looped.
type music.
It's looped. Come on
And
now.
Ah!
Peter Spear,
That's
great
another-
score.
That's
Great
yeah. I was
call,
gonna say
thank
another
you.
Spirig involved there, right?
Too many spirits, too many spirits.
There's so much. I told Travis, 15 pages of notes. 15
Jesus.
pages of notes.
Wow, I got
That's
less than
insane.
2
That's the
full
first.
pages.
Yeah.
What about
15
the
pages.
chicken and the egg thing? Do you guys want to? I mean, how else could we talk about it? Like,
Yeah,
that's
who
just.
comes first? The rooster. That's the joke. That's the joke. So he's
I love the
rooster.
joke.
Here he comes to snuff the rooster, right?
Yeah.
It's a
And
brute.
again, like,
Yeah.
like it's so plainly stated. Like when he's getting ready to kidnap himself as a baby, Noah Taylor comes up to him and tells him, like, you are this unique thing. You are the anomaly of the universe, the product of predestination and paradox, and you have no history, you have no relatives, you have no past. And he says, "Oh yeah, the rooster." And I'm like watching it this time, like, oh yeah, like clearly they're just telling us right now everything about this character. I should not be
Yeah.
surprised at the end
Yeah.
when he stands up and you see the scars. But I was the first time I watched it. Like I was surprised.
So yeah,
So-
okay. I'm glad to know I wasn't alone there. That's
No,
why.
He's one of 12 temporal agents.
11, I think. Oh no, you're right. No, he said there's 11 others. You're right.
Do
Yeah.
they tell us, like, are they like anomalies like he is? Or like, do
don't
they
know.
say anything else about them?
We don't know.
They're the best and brightest. That's all we know. It's a very, very specific type of person for this job. Unique.
If this movie had been a bigger movie, I would not mind another film from this universe. Like they kind of construct an interesting, this whole 1981 as being the center point of time travel, and just the whole approach is like so
Yeah.
bizarre. I'd love to
Yeah.
learn more about that temporal agency and all that, but at the same time, realistically, I don't want any of that. The mystique behind that is part of what drives the movie.
Temporal wake, dude.
Sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
The temporal wake that they're going through. It's really one of the best examples to me of trying to make it realistic when it comes to time traveling or altering dimensions, because of these zoops and like this whoosh of wind. There's like a presence and energy that
Awesome.
comes from it, but it's not like massive, but it's enough to be like, wow, something just happened here. And then they have a hard time breathing the first time. Jane or John struggles like, oh my God, this feels crazy. And that was cool. I actually dug that. It's a little thing, but it goes a long way to kind of selling it to me.
So I watched the episode of Swingers when this film was announced, and when Eric said sci-fi, you threw yourself back in your chair and rolled your eyes back as far as you possibly would in your head. So I'm delighted to hear that once again you're actually maybe more on board with the genre of film than you think you would. You love MCU films, which are all kinds of genre films, and then when we actually talk about genre films, you're always like, I don't know.
I'm a confused human being, just like John, Jane, and the barkeep, and maybe not the two
rooster.
agents and the doctor and the rooster, yeah. But this is a philosophical movie to the core. So if you got 15 pages of notes, Eric, what is it in all those notes that you really still want to get at here? Because this
Good
movie is so deep, so deep.
Let's hear it.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, like
One big thing.
Like you got to address like just like the idea of paradoxes, because you have a predestinational paradox, which is, it's essentially, my mom has to have met my dad in order for me to have been born in my timeline to exist. That's like your standard like predestination. And then you have what's called a consistency paradox, where you can actually go back in time and change something in the past in order to change the future. And the cool thing about this, and in terms of like it dealing with like loops, is it avoids like what I always see in time travel movies, which is, I call it the Back to the Future 2 factor, which is like the unlimited continues thing where, hey, we're in a time machine, Marty. Like if we fail, we don't get the book from Biff, we could just go back in time again and try again. Like everything has to fall in place for this loop to happen. And the stakes are set out. The agent himself says, if you fail, like you die. That's all there is to it. You cease to exist, which is fucking awesome.
The inevitability too. You said they talk a lot about, does this feel like this is inevitable? They say that a few times in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always has happened. It always will be, and all that. Like it's perfect. I love that it's 95 minutes so much. Like I'm sitting there trying to pick it apart. I'm like, what can I bring this way? Like there's small things like John, as soon as like after the assignment and he settles into himself, he's not going to be like, oh wait, I'm that dude that I fell in love with like almost immediately. Come on. And then Ethan Hawke, like the bartender, like he's in love with Jane and the idea and the essence of that. We don't get a sweet scene where him as Ethan Hawke comes to visit the young Jane, and like at some point I would have enjoyed that quite a bit, but you don't need it. Everything else is just, I mean,
well, you're
so
always
spot on.
You're always anti-bloat, so
I'm anti-bloat.
If you don't need it, then it's excised.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
for
excised.
me, as a one of my favorite things as a historian is the whole concept of contingency. That such and such major event would not happen if this other things had not lined up in advance. Sometimes very far down the line to make that the case, and that's what this movie is all about. It's this carefully arranged circle of dominoes that if you remove any one domino, then they don't fall properly, right? The whole thing
right, exactly. Apart.
Yeah, they talk about in this film destiny versus predestination. Some people think things are destined to happen or it's fate. No, we think a lot of this is inevitable and it's predestined to happen. And
wait, there's a difference between destiny and predestination?
I think so. I'm not the guy to describe it right now, but it feels true to me. So I could sound like a moron here, and I admit that freely.
I don't know if I do either. I don't know. Yeah. But Aaron's chiming in saying, I thought predestination was specific to Christianity, different from destiny, makes sense when you think about the Jesus story. Predestination is specific to Calvinism. It is like a whole theory in that school of Christian thought.
Calvin.
There are certain souls. I think it's Calvinism, maybe even Puritanism.
Oh no, I think you're right on.
Okay, the idea that there's certain souls that are always destined to go to heaven, regardless of whether or not like they commit sins, or I guess they won't commit sins because they're already destined to go to heaven. But the
John Calvin,
yeah. But predestination itself just means like it's predestined. Like lowercase.
Well,
p.
Yeah. Aaron's, I think he's talking about Christian theology and a doctrine, which basically says all events have been willed by God. So there's no free will. It's a concept. It's a theory, but it basically means you have no control. It's predestined, but that's a Christian theology as a doctrine. But there's two examples.
Sorry, but I thought one of the key concepts of Christianity was free will. So I feel like that's conflicting.
Oh, that's good stuff. So this movie is just a mind blow, man, and I do like it. It makes me think a lot in that respect. I love the fact that they don't even talk about it in an awkward way at all. They don't set it up. The fact that this transformation for the gender fluidity going on with the John Jane character, they don't make a big deal about it. The doctor in that scene where the doctor has to tell Jane at the time after she's had her child that you have male organs. It really was. It was very apropos, like you said. Doctor would absolutely have probably done more than ever was been given the grace to do with that surgery and removing her ovaries and uterus and all that and
constructing a penis and without her consent and she is so like demure and stuff that she's trying to be like, okay, I'll go along. Like, I understand. Like you helped me. Thank you, doctor. Like what should I call myself now? And trying to just be like a good, it's so sad.
It's brutal. It's so brutal when smoking the cigarettes, trying to talk like a male voice. It's brutal. Yeah. It's a tough one. It's really well done, but man, it's like this is almost rarely never been done this well in terms of I guess I would call a mainstream film, and I call this a mainstream film. It's not as popular maybe, or it's a low budget movie, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know if I should say this or not.
Do it. Let's find out. Let's cancel him now. How about we just cancel you now, and then you can say
I'm predestined to be canceled.
Why is that funny? God damn it! I shouldn't laugh at that, but that was kind of funny.
I don't know how I feel, and you may be able to help me with this opinion.
Okay.
I'm not sure I like how just because now she is identifying as male, she has this confidence and this coolness to her that
it's
she
all
didn't
fake.
have when she was Jane. It seems like
I
it's
don't see that at
adopted
all.
and
Dude, that's gender roles. I mean, that's one of the brilliant things about this movie is that it really exemplifies how gender is a fucking performance that you take on for yourself, that you learn through culture, and that really it's not something inherent to your being. It's something that you just superimpose over yourself and you wear that mask around in public because that's what people expect of you. It's brilliant, I thought.
That's a pretty good response. I'll also say I just saw right through the bullshit. You're right, Travis, but for me as the viewer, I'm like, you can just tell this is a wounded human being.
Oh yeah.
Even before we heard the story.
Right.
Yeah, when John first sat down at the bar, it's like, oh, this person's got issues. I thought it was the Fizzy Bomber. Yeah.
Because I didn't notice the first time I watched it, but in the background when John walks in, one of the people in the bar says, "Oh, look, check this freak out."
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
That's something I would need to see on the second watch, which this movie is like the definition of you need a second watch film. This truly is, just because there's so much going on.
I guess that's why I chose it, because I've been wanting to do a second watch for, I guess, a few years.
Yeah,
I think you're missing my point. I'm trying to say that to have Jane defy all those things that you're saying are like, and be like, I'm still going to be myself. I'm going to deal with the situation, but I'm still going to like be myself and go through with whatever has to happen without having to conform to these what have yous. Could have been a little bit more interesting to me than kind of the acquiescence of, okay, better act cool all the time and smoke.
Well, you mean like you would have preferred that when she was reconstructed as a man that she continued to live as a woman and like deny, you're just like,
she has a functional sexual organ. She doesn't have to say, okay, I'm a man now, so I better put on my leather jacket and act like James Dean. I'm not sure she had to have gone in that direction. I think it was written that way as an acquiescence.
Okay, I see your point there. Okay. I see what he's saying. Yeah. John and Jane, this human being, is challenged by the world before.
Yes, she already felt like a freak before this happened to her.
Right. So I think when she was Jane, she had the kid there. You think about that moment. She has the child, and they're really, even in the retelling of the story, it seems like, wow, there really seems like a chance for me to have some sense of normalcy or whatever you want to call it.
That's why she says it's going to grow up with a dad, a mom, a quote unquote normal family life.
She was abandoned. That's huge to her, obviously, and then to have it taken away like that, it just can destroy you more. Where she was acquiescing to life. I mean, I guess she could have been like a rebel even further, but I think there was a defeatism involved in a sense of like, I'm exhausted, I'm cashed, whatever. I'm a dude now. All right.
Right. And I do think we need to look at the time frame too. I mean, like, I mean, that is all happening to her in what, the late 60s, mid 60s.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that she would have felt, like we know from the movie, they talk about Christine Jorgensen. There's very few reference points for transgender or like openly intersex people or like anything beyond the presumed binary that's, quote unquote normal. So, in order to try and adapt to society, I think that's what I meant by the performance and stuff. I mean, you're right that I didn't fully get your point, but I still maintain that like she like is doing what she thinks that she's supposed to do. Like, I have a penis, I am now a man. Like, she's not going to think, well, women can have a penis. No, that's a very 2022 kind of idea. That's not, I think, something that people in that time frame would have believed or thought for the most part.
Okay. Satisfied or? Well, I mean, we got to move on anyways. We're almost at the end here. We've been talking about this movie for a while. Any other classic huge points? I mean, this movie is so complex. You could truly talk about this movie for 3 hours easy. You really could.
I once again found myself just writing down like piece of dialogue after piece of dialogue because they're just breadcrumbs. I just couldn't believe, again, just to reiterate this point on the second viewing, that everything is so clearly laid out for the viewer, and that's partly it feels like a shell game, like because it's actually kind of obvious, and that's partly why it's so fascinating to watch, because the reveal and the surprise, it comes right in front of your fucking face. He was right there the whole time. So it's actually like it messes with you. This movie messes with you. I think it's a really smart movie, and props, not just of course to the Spierigs and all these actors. We got to give props to Robert Heinlein, who we haven't really mentioned very much, the writer of the original short story that the Spierigs were pretty faithful to.
He's preceding Phil Dick when it comes to crime, like pre-crime prevention. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to read. I think it's like 10 pages. Like I'd like to check out the short story. From what I understand,
I would too.
There's no Fizzy Bomber element. Like they throw that all out, and it's just a straight tale about just Jane. So props to the Spierigs, because I dig the Fizzy Bomber element quite a bit. I think it adds a ton.
Agreed.
But my problem is the way they start the movie, man. Like when it starts, you're like, oh. Like I like Time Cop, I like Source Code, and then it fucking hits the brake for like an hour, and you got to listen to this like story, which I can dig now because I know what the story is. But I remember even when I was stumbling out of the bar, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's a bold choice to make your whole first act the backstory and the memoir of the character that played by the person that people watching the movie they didn't know who Sarah Snook was at this point. And they maybe didn't even realize that they were watching a woman play a man at that point. So like you're watching, or at least in the early part of it. But I mean, so I think that it's a bold choice the way that what they do here.
This narration, that whole part of the film, the bar talk, really, really reminded me of the V for Vendetta, telling the story about where the note came from, where he originally got that note from the prisoner, the female lesbian actress who was taken away because she was homosexual. And it totally had like the exact same style to me in terms of the kind of going back and forth from the prison cell with Natalie Portman, then back to her story. And this one, it's just much longer. It's like 5 times as longer. And it's a lot of narration. And I really sat there and thought about it for a while, because I'm like, is this well done? Is this the way this should have been done? And I'm not sure that. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but I'm going to think about it a lot more, and I'm going to watch it again. And I want to get to the bottom of that, because I kind of enjoyed it, because it does build a lot there, and it doesn't drag either, which is good news. So I don't know. I'm confused on that one. But I was also really confused about, hey, who was this person sitting down at the bar? Because we have no information as a first-time viewer. Like, is this the Fizzy Bomber? Or then you find out, I start to think, oh, this is like a lead. Like, this could be a key witness that he's trying to get to the Fizzy Bomber. And it seems like it's going to be a formulaic movie. And then it's not at all.
Not at all. And it keeps you guessing. And that's unique. That's good.
Yeah. That's kind of why I wish it would have just started with the bar, and then a person walks into the bar and unfolds their story, instead of like this like very Hollywood action scene, and then we go into this like whole tale. But that's just like,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was thinking about that this time too, because I asked myself, like, why would they kind of shoehorn in at the beginning this scene when it would make kind of more sense? So I get maybe it's a bit actiony to like hook you, instead of there's action coming. We promise. It's not just two people sitting in a bar. But more than that, I think that it's really smart to have, as early as possible in the film, have it where you learn that a major character has had facial reconstruction surgery, because you kind of forget as the movie goes on, so that only towards the end you're like, oh right, I forgot his whole fucking face was removed, and you over my head, man. You're right, you see it and you acknowledge it, but it's so early in the film and the setup that like you get lost in the other stuff. So I think that's actually a smart placement for that.
Dude. I'm sorry, but damn, Plumber checking in. Hey boys, miss you guys. Just got on the book face and saw you were live. I have never even heard of this movie. But it is always a pleasure hearing you guys critique, no matter what the flick. Dan, we love you. Thanks for the comment. And you're right. Like, this movie flew by, and like there was no marketing. And I'm thinking to myself while we're talking, how do you even market the picture? Like, I'm looking at a picture of Ethan Hawke with like a gun with like time shit going on in the background.
Right.
And I guess that's your
Yeah, the
best bet
guns
to get passes in theaters.
Yeah, this photo behind me, like the main movie poster with him with a gun, like a 6-shooter though.
The mustache.
Even before I saw the movie, I'm like, okay, so this gun is telling me a lot because it's saying the title's Predestination and there's a gun. And it really just kind of had me confused because I knew nothing else, you know?
I mean, basically, like I think most people watch this movie like, oh, okay, it's time travel and it's got Ethan Hawke.
Yeah,
in it.
time cop.
Right.
I thought maybe it was like a looper, something like a looper thing, which maybe it is a little bit.
Yeah. If I had seen Daybreak before this, because I actually watched that somewhat recently, and I talked it up on the show then, I may have been on board for that too. The Spirig brothers reteaming with Ethan Hawke, because Daybreak was pretty damn good.
Yeah. But again, going back, dude, if I am ever the unfortunate victim of a catastrophic fire blast, I can only hope that the doctors reconstruct my face to be as beautiful as Ethan Hawke, because this ain't adding up, man. Come on.
Well, you didn't like the Eddie Furlong look that male Sarah Snook had?
We had Dane DeHaan, Eddie Furlong, and young Leo DiCaprio. I was all confused back in 2015. Like, who the fuck is? But I don't know, man. That's why I kind of like to that point, though. I think a lot of people, as bonkers as this is, like, it is a really great story. Like, so on paper, this is like, oh my God, I might have the best paradox time travel movie ever. Then, yeah, how do you, like, to film it? There's got to be some suspension of disbelief. Clearly, the body structure, the skeleton, you got to get over it and just enjoy this ride, because this is a fucking cool tale.
Yeah, and that's true of just about any piece of science fiction, that movie that you watch. Like, no matter how good the effects, you typically do still have to, like, lend them some of your disbelief. So that you can enjoy the picture properly. And I don't think this movie demands too much of the viewer in that, because I mean, he does seem taller. He's Ethan Hawke is clearly taller than Sarah Snook. I would say that, but other than that, I think that some of the hair, like, they're okay with the hair, and like some of the voice. I think the voice is somewhat similar. They work on it, but you're right, that's not perfect.
Okay. Well, hey, you chose this movie, Travis. Why don't you lead us off and close it out with, does it hold up or not?
Well, I would also like to praise, as I kind of wrap this up, the set design, the set decoration. I mean, I think that for the periods that they're in here, they do a pretty good job of establishing, especially the bar. They do a good job in making you feel like I'm in the 70s and 60s and 80s, without having it be, I don't know,
lame.
Without having it be too overwrought and like too like, look at all the seafoam green, you know what I mean? Like, just not without being like,
dumb Rolling Stones on the jukebox.
Exactly. Without beating you over the head about it. Like, that bar feels like a 70s bar for sure.
I want to go to that bar. I don't even want to go to a bar, but I want to go to that bar.
I love that bar. I want to go there too, and I want to play on my own grandpa on the jukebox. But yeah, man, I'm glad to have revisited. I actually like it way better than I thought I would on second viewing. I mean, I thought I was going to think that it held up, but I think I liked it even better than I did the first time. I'm like, this is a pretty impressive movie. This is a unique movie. This is in time travel, the time travel genre. I'd put this up there with Time Crimes and Primer. This is important, good time travel fiction, and hopefully anyone listening at this point has already watched the film, but if not, I do recommend it still. I mean, it's a mind fuck. I think it definitely holds up.
Hey, well, that's one for Travis. By the way, Aaron Worley says, good job, boys. 9.5 out of 10 for me.
Wow,
holds up. That is a very high rating system. First off, not normal in the movie world to go 10 stars, but that's great rating. I'll go next. I'll say that this is a movie that I had no idea it existed, and I may have never known it existed if Travis hadn't brought it to the table. It's confusing and it's challenging, though. I like challenging movies. It didn't drop. Well, maybe it did. I don't know. There's a lot of exhibiting, a lot of offering of facts and information at times, but I don't think it was overwrought. They were doing a storytelling section of the film, so in that sense, it wasn't just about like facts and figures. It was trying to lay out a sense of just the awful existence that this human being had gone through, and I think that's okay. It doesn't drag either because it's fascinating. You want to know what's happening, where it's going, and it's short. Like Eric said, there's no bloat here. Hour and a half, get in, get out, which is cool. I'm not in a hurry to leave. I know I'm known for fast forwarding through movies, but I'm happy. I'll watch a 3-hour movie, no problem, if it's interesting. That's all that matters is, are you compelling me, and am I compelled? So if you compel me, then I'll follow you in the compelling of the I'm lost. I'll complete. The compelling? All I know is that I think this movie holds up because it's fascinating enough to at least watch a second time. And if it's fascinating enough to, like, I got to watch this at least another time, then it holds up. If I watch the second time and I change my mind, I reserve the right to do that. But so far, this movie holds up.
All right. It's 2.
Shit. It's like the best episode of Botched ever. Go into a hospital to give birth, come out as a different sex.
Yikes.
Too soon? Dude,
oh, God.
The movie is a tough watch if you're not paying attention, like I said before, man. And it was overlooked back in the day, man. And it shouldn't have been. If you're into time travel movies, this even defies the convention of a time travel movie because it's not even really like a movie. Like it's like the best episode of like Black Mirror ever. Like you don't have so many elements of just a goddamn regular movie. It's just telling this really interesting story, and God bless these filmmakers, not because of their later work, because Winchester was awful, but in 2015 for adapting, for adapting Heinlein in 2015, it's so bold, and it has so much integrity as this time travel noir that we kind of saw with Looper and Primer and that stuff, but this is your best bet in terms of that because it's about humanity. Like one of the scenes I watched a few times was when the Fizzy Bomber gets taken out. Mm-hmm. It's easy to forget when the bartender kills the Fizzy Bomber. That's Jane dying. That's the baby's last minute on Earth. That's this entire character's last moment. For all it's worth, this is their life. So there's much humanity there. And the Fizzy Bomber saying, I deserve to exist. I'm important. Yeah, we disagree because of what's happened, but just think of that, man. Where do you get that type of pathos in a science fiction movie in fucking 2010s? It absolutely holds up, dude. I can't talk about it enough, dude. You got to check it out. It's fucking awesome. Holds up.
It's one of the best explorations of identity I think I've seen on film.
Yeah, that says it all.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a clean sweep, folks. Travis had skeptics because people hadn't heard of this film, but it paid off and then some with a clean sweep of Holds Up. Woohoo! Yay, yippee. He still got it, Travis. All right, there it is. Still got it. That's another edition of the Cinema 9 podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. This was the Friday Night Live special edition. Usually we're on Thursdays at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time. YouTube channel. Sub it. Subscribe. Join the throngs of people that are subscribing to our channel. And grow, learn, share. Please, yes. Be our friend. We like you. Eric Branstrom, I believe you're on the clock here. You're on deck.
What are we watching next for next episode, buddy? What will hold up or not?
We're finally doing one that's been on my list since maybe first few episodes. Wow. We're going back to 1999. Mm-hmm. Oh, and it's been a long time coming, Michael. What?
Yep.
Ted Griffin is a really interesting writer. Brought us Ocean's 11, 2001, some big studio hits. And for me, this is one that I've always enjoyed, but it's been so long. And we used to watch this so much back in the day. It may or may not have been actually directed by Antonia Bird. We're going there. Ravenous. 1999.
Oh, Luke, are you still watching?
Ravenous. I wanted to talk. I
Wow.
mean, this was on my list too, but I took it off because I'm like, well, this is one of my favorite movies. I know it holds up. I don't need to.
It's
So we'll
been
find out.
probably
We'll
been
see.
about 15 years for me, man.
Oh, wow.
It's the last. In fact, the last time I watched it was the 3 times in a row I had to watch it when I woke up with Luke that one day at the dump.
At the dump. There it is.
It was a regular. I mean, like one of the top views that we watched over and over again when we lived at the
Horror westerns are making a comeback after Bone Tomahawk, so let's do it.
All right, awesome call, dude. I'm excited.
You know what's funny is, yeah, it was always on at the dump, but
It was
I
always
never
on.
really,
It was
I
always
never really
on.
absorbed it though. I never really like. I'm not kidding. My
believe it.
recollection is like, oh, Luke's watching Ravenous again. I would like pass by, and I caught some scenes here and there. Like I remember some beards and maybe
Beard,
that's
Dude,
beards and blood.
I'll save it for next week. But I remember this is for once. I remember my theatrical experience with this one, so that's something.
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I think we
Okay,
may have saw
cool.
this together.
I believe we did.
Oh,
Yeah.
but well, it's gonna be a doozy next week. Ravenous, 1999. Go check it out. Go find it. And until then, we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to the Cinema 9 podcast. For Travis Roy, Eric Brandstrom, and myself, we wish you all a lovely evening.
I'm my own grandpa.